are going to study how to check that the user has scrolled to the end of a list view. So by start, we have already created the project, we have also learned it. So with the next step, we can add a list view and we add some dummy data, and we also check that the user is scrolling and check that the user has finished scrolling. It means that he has reached the bottom of the screen for the list view. And after checking that the user has reached the bottom of the screen of the list view, you can maybe update data, fetch more data from the database according to your wish or what you want to perform. So by the start, we are going to add list view widget. So list view, we are going to use builder to make sure that we are going to use a widget which will support more and too much data. So we add item count because it's a dummy data. We are going to hard code the item count. So here we return the list tire to illustrate some dummy data and the list view. We have to add title. We show even the index to make sure that we are sure that the user is scrolling. Text subtitle. You can see this is our list view. You can even scroll until you reach 1000, but the 1000 is a big number, so let's reduce it to 100 to make sure you can easily reach to the bottom of the screen of the list view. So if we scroll, you can see that we have reached to the bottom of the list view. So we want to check that the user is scrolling and the user has reached the bottom, and when we reach the bottom, we make sure we perform an action. We may retrieve data from the database, the backend. We may show roda or something according to what you wish to do. So by performing that, we have to declare a controller, a scroll controller. In Flutter, we have what we call a scroll controller. So we have to declare a variable called a scroll controller. Let's call it scroll controller. This is a scroll controller, and you have to assign it to the list view. Every list view has a controller. We pass it scroll controller. So we have also to add an init state to make sure that we are going to attach event listener on this scroll controller. We add listener, we add a function. So with this function is where we are going to check that we have already reached the bottom of the list view. So when we reach the bottom, we are going to do some activities when we reach the bottom. So we have to check it like this. We have scroll controller, we get position, we get max scroll event. So this is to check the real size, the real height of, or the real width of the scroll height. So we get it like this: max scroll extent. Then also we get the current position, the scrolled amount. So we get scrolled pixels. We get it via scroll.position.pixels. So if scroll pixels equals to the max scroll event, it means that we have reached to the bottom of our screen. So we can even declare a variable. We can declare another function to do something to show that we have reached the bottom of the screen. So let's declare a function which is future, because it will be, maybe it simulated the request function for loading data from the backend. So for simulating the loading of data, we'll use await future.delay. So we make sure we can delay this async function for like 5 seconds to show that we are loading data from the database. This delay function will be repressed by maybe an HTTP request or other something you want to retrieve, maybe loading data from the SQLite, from other kind of database, or another asynchronous activity of your choice. For here, you will replace this future.delayed with your another asynchronous function. So we are going to declare a loading variable so that you can show the user that he has reached the bottom and we are loading more data for this user. So we simulate load data, we'll set state loading, which is equal to true, and when the future ends, we set state loading to false. It means that our request or another asynchronous activity has ended. So here in the list view, we have to show the loader at the bottom. So in the list view, we check the last index, go to 100, so we return cyclical progress indicator to show that the activity is running. And you have also to check that the variable is loading. So we have to refresh the whole app, make sure that the event has been added to the listener. So we have to scroll. So the loader is not being shown because we didn't call our function. We call our function simulate load data. So we check load again, check. So index should not be equal to 100 but 99. So it's a logical error. So let's refresh again and see. So you can see that it's showing the loader. You can lap it with the center to make it look very well. You can see that it's showing the loader, and after few seconds it will be hidden because we assume that the request has been ended. So when you replace with this delayed function with your asynchronous function, it will hide the loader when the request has ended. So let's declare another variable so to increment the value of the item count we have to show that we have added more data. So let's have a variable for the item count, val item count equal to 100. So, and we increment it after the end of asynchronous function. We have to say item count plus 100. So we increment 100 after the end of this delayed function. So with this delayed function, we will be replacing with your other asynchronous function. So we replace with our item count. So here index, you have to replace with item count. So let's do this. Let's scroll again. No, it will be item count minus 1 to make sure that it's the last index. So it's loading, and after loading it's going to add more 100 variables. So whenever we reach the end again, it load and add more data, increase, and this, you will be adding more data when you reach to the end. And I think you enjoyed this tutorial, and make sure you subscribe for the next tutorials or next sessions. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.